I'm Pastor Jay. We're in the prophet series, and the next person we're going to go to are the judges. Now, after Joshua, the Israelites didn't have a king or leader, real leader, so God sent judges. And these judges were prophets because God used them for a purpose. Just like the first one, Othniel. He was Caleb's nephew. Now, Caleb was one of the guys that went into Jericho as one of the spies that Rahab helped to get out. And what happened was Israel was starting to worship idols again, child sacrifices. God had had enough, so he sent one of the Canaanite kings to enslave the Israelites. Well, they did for a little bit, and then they started praying and repenting, as usual. Like, does that sound somebody like most time we mess up so much as Christians? We start wanting to do, come back to God. Please, sorry, God, forgive us, have mercy. They were doing the same thing, and so he sent Othniel, and he came in and he freed the Israelites. Well, they started doing good for a little bit, and then they started going back to the same way, old ways. So the next one he sent Ehud. Now Ehud was left-handed. That made him different because most people were right-handed back then, so everybody fought with different ways. Well, he was allowed to come into the king, one of the Canaanite kings. Well, they checked him on his right to make sure he didn't have no weapons, but they didn't really check the left side because most were right-handed, so everybody usually come from the right-hand side. So he went in and wound up killing the king. So God used someone who had a different features, different ways of doing things to do what God needed his purpose was. The next was Shamgar. Now Shamgar, well, he was pretty violent. He basically killed over 600 Philistines by himself. So this man was a beast of a man, but God used him to help the Israelites, correcting what they were doing wrong. The next was Deborah. Now Deborah, she was the first woman ever really mentioned as a leader in the Israelites. But she had a purpose. She was a prophet. That's why I said the judges and prophets, they were all combined together. And what she did, she talked Barak the king in, because the Canaanites had come in and conquered Israel again, so they were going to free them. She said, well, a woman was going to be the king of Canaanite's downfall. Well, everybody thought she was her, but at the end, it kind of twisted because this one woman called Gabel, I think her name was, she wound up nailing a nail through that king's head. It's funny how God uses people, and that's what this is all about. God uses different people, different statuses, different walks of life to do his purpose. And that's why we can't discount anybody in this world, because God can use anybody.